Yeah, go ahead, Hem.
Yeah. Uh, so, uh, my first question was, we were talking about cause and effect last class, and my question was, isn't cause and effect also mithya because it depends on time for its existence? And what is the relation of time to me? As in, so that was my first question.
Okay, so let's answer that now. So the question is, there is cause and effect. We did not get much into the detail of cause and effect. In fact, we didn't, other than just mentioning once. So is cause and effect mithya? So the short answer is yes. The status of being a cause, the status of being an effect is mithya. We will analyze that more later. And yes, it is mithya because it is not permanent. The state of cause starts, state of cause begins and ends. State of an effect, effect itself means an effect is being produced. And so something just began in time, and so it has to be mithya. Okay, that is one part of your first question. Second question is, what about time? So we will continue to understand this time as we go forward. But time is mithya because time depends on me, time depends on Atma for its existence. How time depends on me? Hey, time depends on me means what? I wake up and it's already 2 hours late. I slept so long. People don't stop for me. Dinner is, lunch is, breakfast is being cooked, and people are going to work. Work has started. People are driving, gone, and you're saying time waits for me? No. Activity doesn't stop, doesn't depend on me, but time, when we're talking, this idea of time depends on the conscious being. So the way to appreciate that is to appreciate time, to appreciate past, present, and future requires me. It's a projection. It's my projection that is called time. There is really no such thing called time out there. This is it's an important revelation. There is really no such independent thing called time. So this was the mistake that I think Isaac Newton realized after he taught classical physics, all mechanics, motion, Newton's laws of motion and all that. He took time for granted, and then he realized, perhaps later in his life, he realized, oh, time also is not given. Huge revelation. And so Einstein and other people, so they all recognized that, really speaking, time also is not given. And that's the idea. So for now, we will not go further than that. So this time, way to appreciate time is in deep sleep. In deep sleep, there is no idea of time. There is no concept of time. There is no past, present, future. And so the idea of past, present, future is projected back by me onto the world. And so we say time is mithya. Okay? Yeah, we will continue that discussion further later. So, Hem, you had another question. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah. So my other question was related to death, and so if I try to imagine my own death from my own perspective, uh, how is so if I imagine like that, my mind goes exist. It's almost as if the existence itself falls apart. How is this? Isn't this the same as deep sleep itself? Because that is pretty much what happens when I slip into deep sleep.
Correct, correct. Good question. So go ahead and mute yourself. Or you can remain unmuted, that's fine. I don't think one person unmuted can cause any problem. So yeah, so the question is, when I visualize the state of death, it or my death, it appears to me like it is the same as deep sleep. That's the main question. Yeah, so in a way, we can't visualize death because we don't know what death is. But assuming we can push ourselves a little bit, in death, all the functions are absent. Functions of the body, mind are all absent. The body is inert. Heart is not beating. There is absolutely no consciousness, or at least the body is not conscious. And that is the state of death. Yeah, deep sleep is very similar to death. I don't want to say deep sleep is same as death, because we are able to come out of deep sleep. That's the only reason that stops me from saying that. But otherwise, it is identical, because the dead body is dead to everything in this world. It doesn't perceive anything. It is completely oblivious to the rest of the world, even oblivious to itself. So in deep sleep also, that we can say that I am completely oblivious to the rest of the world. I am even oblivious to this body and the fact that I am breathing and the fact that I am sleeping. Nothing I know. I just turn off like that. Okay. So in that sense, yeah, deep sleep is, we can say, is similar to death. Similar to death. So we hear, Ramana Maharshi, when we study his works and his life, we hear that this Ramana, when he was a boy, he said, I want to imagine being dead. And the fellow just blanks out. Ramana blanks out, and he is as though dead. So he's gone to that state, and then he appreciates it more and more, and he keeps going to that state. Periodically, he just says, "I am going to die. I am dying from this body," like that he says. So yes, so clearly there is a similarity between deep sleep and death. And later on, I think this topic will come in Tattvabodha also. So we will get a chance to see that. Okay, so if you have another question, hold off on that, and let's see if somebody else has a question. So Bhuvanesh, you had a question? Okay. Okay, so there is a chat. Okay, no problem. So Vishnu had to leave. So yeah, if there are no other questions, then okay, go ahead and hit. Yeah, all right. So Mahesh ji, go ahead, ask your question.
My question was, when we talked about you are using negation to eliminate things when you go from trying to answer what is Satyam. So in real life also, when we don't know the answer, we use the process of elimination, which is negation. But when we know the answer, we go directly to the answer, isn't it?
Yeah. So true. Yeah, we use these techniques periodically, and when we know the answer, and when we think the other person can understand what you're going to say, I will add that also.
Okay.
Then we will directly go at it. See, it is not enough if you know the answer and the person who is asking the question, the background is very different. Correct? Then you have to gradually approach the solution. Correct? So you will prepare, you will set up, you will create a little setup and say, okay, let me explain, and then you will gradually explain. Yeah. So I think you're right. We use either a direct approach or a initially indirect approach to revealing answers. Okay, Ashutosh, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think I had asked a couple of questions over the email, and the first one was around you quote quite extensively from the Bhagavad Gita, so I was thinking to get a copy, which I think my parents have one, but I wanted to get your view on which copy or which translation of Bhagavad Gita would you suggest, or if you would even, or would you, is it advisable to keep a copy or not? Because, there are certain Sanskrit words which, unless you know the exact meaning of, then you can, then other conclusions can be drawn from it. So would you advise, so first question, would you advise keeping or reading the Bhagavad Gita? Or if yes, then which version, which translation from which publication to buy and read?
Sure. So yeah, I have read several versions of the Bhagavad Gita, books by Ramakrishna Mutt, by Gita Press, and also by Swamiji. So now I stick with a couple of shall I say, books. One is a literal translation, verse by verse translation of the entire Bhagavad Gita. So a verse in Sanskrit is given, it's written in an English transliteration, and Swamiji's meaning of that verse in one line or two lines, whatever, exact translation is given. So that one I use periodically to refresh myself on certain things.
Right.
Then the other, if you want to learn Bhagavad Gita, obviously that book is not enough to learn Bhagavad Gita, correct? Because that's just the translation, and we can't learn much from a translation. We can only get a rough idea. And so if you say, I want to learn Bhagavad Gita, then there is a whole series of volumes where Swamiji talks about the Bhagavad Gita. He's lectured on the Bhagavad Gita for some year or year and a half long ago, and those talks were transcribed in the form of texts, and so there are now some 7 or 8 volumes of that teaching, and we use it very often in our classes in Houston. We used to use it, and I know many friends use it, and that has become a standard also. So that is like the other extreme where I can pick up the book, and because Swamiji has been very good at being careful and knowing the pitfalls of being misunderstood, then so the teaching is in such a way that you will find that the books will kind of speak to you. And so that is another option. If you want, you can try that. And if you're interested, you let me know. I mean, you can call the Arshavidya Gurukulam in the US, in Sailorsburg. You just go to arshavidya.org and they'll have their contact number, bookstore number. Just call them.
Right. Okay.
And so I've given you 2 extremes. One is literal translation. The other is a full full course. Full course, obviously, these are many thousands of pages, and in between there are a couple of versions also. So like a book called The Vision of the Bhagavad Gita. So that is something you can pick up. That's a 200-page book, whatever, and books that you can browse through, and you can get a nice perspective of the Bhagavad Gita. So in fact, I'm planning to teach a course which is something similar, which gives everybody an idea of what Bhagavad Gita is, without going verse by verse by verse, which will take a long time, and that's a different track altogether. But wanted to pick some verses from the Bhagavad Gita, selected verses, and then thereby teach the vision of the Bhagavad Gita. So that book also you will find in the bookstore. So you're welcome to choose any of these options.
Got it. Yeah, thanks for that. The second question I had really was around Sanskrit classes. I don't know if you, I think you do conduct some classes. Like, so if I do want to attend, then do you have any beginner level Sanskrit classes that your organization conducts, or anything maybe in Austin, or like maybe nearby if possible, like face to face, or maybe online?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I also had the same request. So if
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So I am currently teaching a Sanskrit class. So some of the friends you see here, Mohini ji is there attending that class, and Sajeev Nair is there. So some people here who are attending the Tattavabodha class are attending the Sanskrit class. So we started that. I started that some months ago now, probably 6 months ago, maybe more. Now, if you are an absolute beginner in Sanskrit, then it might be good for you to, approach the Samskrita Bharati in Austin. There, I have a good friend, Srikanta Mishra is there, and long ago we used to conduct Sanskrit camps. I remember that. So he visited from Austin to Houston and so forth. I don't know if he's still in Austin, but Austin, there is a nice group that
Right.
that pursues the study of Sanskrit. So that is one option. That is one option.
What's the name of the person you said? Sorry.
Srikanta Mishra, M-I-S-R-A, Srikanta Mishra.
Do you have his email ID or phone number or something? I don't know.
I can look and
Like I have other Srikant in Dallas who conducts classes regularly.
yeah, Prasad.
Yeah, I have his number too. I can share that number.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly. You can do that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
That, so they will, if they will point out, they'll give you the right contact information. So yeah, if you don't get to the right person, you let me know, Ashutosh, and we can correct you to this one, Yalagalavadi in California, who is the Sanskrit Bharati head, etc. So we can find a resource in Austin.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, so him also for you, that's similar. And these days there are a lot of online sources. I'm finding whenever I look, there are so many online things in Sanskrit now that it's mind-boggling actually.
Mm-hmm.
And but what you need is a systematic course where you can be guided. That is ideal. Otherwise, it is easy to get lost. And so you just need to watch out. And another option some people are following, about 3 or 4 people are actually looking at the recordings of my classes, and they are doing the homeworks also. So I conduct a class like this, 1.5 hours once a week, and then after that there is a homework following the class, and people do the homework, they submit it, and I grade it, etc. So it's like a university course. It goes on, So I can send you the link to those classes which are all uploaded on YouTube. I mean, I don't have to send you. It's there in that same this thing. So that's, some people follow that. So hey, you are in Chennai, right?
Yeah.
Now Chennai, they have a Sanskrit Bharati is of course very active there. So if you think you feel like going to a class and study, then
I actually contacted them, but so what they said is that until you attend that 10-day Shivaram which they hold, it won't be easy for you to follow the classes. So, and that Shivaram is going to be held in January end or something. So that's going to be slightly late for me. So I thought that if there is some other.
Yeah.
So actually my background I have had Sanskrit till 10th class. So that much of Sanskritam I do understand. And so I did actually go through some of your classes also, which the videos, and I could follow, like I could understand what you're speaking, but I can't. I have limitation in speaking myself, so it's kind of like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but the classes are meant to learn to speak also.
Yeah.
And learning to speak and speaking Sanskrit is not a requirement for this class. And once we go through the class, then one begins to get comfortable to speak it. And as you've seen in some of the classes. And so I like that approach that Samskrita Bharati has taken. I feel that approach brings us closer to the language. So you take a look, and the one advantage of the online classes is, if there is some concept that you know very well, you can fast forward, right? So you save time, so to speak, and so you can try that. In Chennai, I don't know of any other resources right away. So if I come to know, I'll let you know. But I think, so I think whatever you do, I think it's good for you to start that in parallel, start that study. So you can catch up a year from now, you would have caught up quite a bit. And then you can begin to start looking at some of the Bhagavad Gita verses and begin to make a little bit of sense, etc. So, I think that's a good idea for you to begin.
Question I have.
Yeah, Prasad, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a quick question. It is, if it is too early, you can defer it, but just wanted to have a touch. If you can touch the answer lightly, it is fine. It is based on what Hem has asked earlier. When you are in deep sleep, so deep sleep is known or is seen or revealed through the same consciousness, and the mind is absent in the deep sleep. How do I know that? How is that the consciousness revealed when I am in deep sleep? In other words, when I get up, I know that I got a good deep sleep. So, but the mind is absent, but everything has to be experienced through the mind. How is that? I mean, if you prefer to answer, that's good. This question has been there for a long time for me.
Yeah. So we need to dwell over this a little bit. So so the mind is not completely absent in deep sleep. I mean, it's more, all the functions, typical functions of the mind are gone. So Karana Sharira is there. So there is not an active mind in deep sleep. Definitely, that we know. So it can't perceive. There is nothing, no perception happens during deep sleep. So there is, the only thing is we make a conclusion after the sleep, we make a conclusion that prag aswapsam, Dakshinamurti Shankaracharya says, prag aswapsam. So I slept well. That conclusion is being made. Now, in order to say that, that consciousness has to be there. Has to be there. I mean, I must be there in order to be even to say I slept well. Okay. So, even though there are no perceptions, still I am able to say I slept well. Because what? Because I did not have a bad sleep. Because I did not have a disturbed sleep. And I feel refreshed. So I must have slept well. So an inference is made. But it's a little more than inference also, because I am very much there. I am very much there. And it is not like an experience in the waking state. It is not like an experience in waking state where you can say, hey, I saw the bus, I dropped off my son and my son went to school. And all that is perception, pratyaksham. So in a way, it is not like that, but in a way it is like that also, because I am still there. That I is still there. Okay. So let me know if that addresses the question somewhat, because this is a big topic. This is actually a big topic. So can you repeat the question once again if there is a doubt?
Yeah, I mean, so you answered to some part, but still I'm not clear. Like you said, probably you'll be dealing with in a deeper sense later. So the I part is missing. That is what my thought process there. So that's why the confusion that how do I know about it? Because even though it is revealed through the same consciousness, and in conjunction with that, it has to be through the mind. Everything is experienced. So in absence of that I, which is again, mind is part of that I, when it is absent, but you said like it is not totally absent. That's what I take it right now. Probably I need to understand better than that.
Yeah, we will explain it some more also.
Yeah. In addition to that, from what you said in today's class, the second question is, so the explanation is done through negation of everything in order to remove the midya. So the negation could be done by giving the awareness in the examples which you had given, or it could be shut down also, right? Through shutdown also, we can negate what is midya. What I mean by that is all the drama going on in my mind, I'll try to shut it down. So that's how I negate it. That's one other way which I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So, so the shutdown means this deep sleep experience is a shutdown experience, correct? It's a state where all our perception, inference, all mental activity, all physical activity, all shut down. That is one way of, I think you might mean that when you said shutdown, correct? Yeah. So yeah, that's a great data point for us, because I can be who I am without any of my problems. Therefore, it gives me a clue that the so-called body, the so-called mind, which I take myself to be, is probably wrong, because when the mind is there, I am there. When the mind is not there, I am there. So this I am there before the mind comes, I am there when the mind is operating. I am there when the mind shuts down. Therefore, I cannot be the mind. Therefore, I cannot be the mind. Therefore, when I take myself to be the attributes of the mind, I am making a mistake. Okay? So this is a huge clue we get. Big clue. We need clues. And so we pick up the clues, and therefore this deep sleep is an important data point for us, which tells me that I am other than the mind. I am other than the body. So that is what shutting down is. So the shutting down process, that's why one can practice it perhaps. We do it in our meditation. We automatically, a lot of activities shut down. And we appreciate Atma much better. That's why meditation is suggested. And the process helps us understand that I is different from the mind. And once that is completely understood, then whether the mind is shut down or whether the mind is very active, still Atma is I am Atma. That has to be understood. So some people make the mistake that, no, the mind has to be shut down in order for me to be Atma. No, that is not Vedanta. Vedanta doesn't require you to do anything. It has already said, karmana mokshaha na. By action, you cannot achieve, you cannot get the infinite. You cannot create the uncreated by action. Nasti akritaha kritena. So therefore, we need to keep that in the back of the mind. Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question, Prasad. Big data point. So Prasad, you're muted.
Yeah. So the other one might be part of yoga, right? So in that case.
Correct. So chitta vritti nirodha. So important. So that also yoga helps me. Yoga helps me see that I am not any of my faculties. Correct? Beautiful. Chitta vritti. What is it? Yeah. Chitta vritti nirodha. So very important.
Yoga chitta.
Yeah. Repeat that again.
Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Or chitta vritti nirodha yoga or something like that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, correct. So same thing, and so there it is highlighted. But in Vedanta, we go beyond that and actually look at Atma. Actually appreciate what Atma is. Yeah. Okay. So if there are any other questions, we will pick it up next class. Feel free to ask. Thanks for all the questions. And